We were watching this great YouTube video of actor Chaz Palminteri, and the video was entitled "Who to Trust in This Business." And Chaz had some interesting takes on it, and he jokingly said, first off, trust no one, and then he said, well, above all, trust your own gut, your own intuition.
Did Chaz's gut tell him to do In the Mix with Usher?
That I don't
and Emmanuel Shariki? Sorry,
sure.
Emmanuel.
No. He didn't mention that part. But he also mentioned that in terms of giving feedback on a film, there's kind of two ways to do this. If someone asks for your feedback and the film is still in the editing process, then it's probably maybe okay to be a little more truthful and say, you know what, I probably could agree that maybe you could make changes here or there. But if the film's already finished, he says pretty much just shake the person's hand and said, great job, and then just keep it positive. What's your take on that?
Well, I just know from firsthand that just making a movie is a tremendous accomplishment in itself. And it's a team sport, and no one person can be blamed. Everybody wanted to blame Taylor Kitsch for why John Carter didn't do well at the box office. It has nothing to do with Taylor Kitsch. You know, there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen when it comes to making movies. So just making a movie is a tremendous accomplishment in its own right. And then to make a really good movie, obviously, is an amazing thing. So to have that kind of foundation, to just understand that, and not take anything for granted, then you can have a more, I don't know, candid conversation when it comes to your opinion about a film. Nobody needs me to come up to them at their premiere or at their junket. Nobody needs me to come up and say, great job, I loved it. If I didn't, it's just bullshit. And you see it a lot out here. It's crazy. And you have to, you know, we all have friends who make movies and you want to support their films, even if you don't like their films because they're your friend, but you have to be true to yourself, and your audience doesn't care about your relationship with a director or an actor. And I get that a lot. People say to me, how can you be friends with an actor and then review their movie? And I always reference the story my dad told me from one of his interviews with Michael Caine. I guess somebody had asked Michael Caine, you're this legendary actor, this Oscar winner, you're Sir Michael Caine. Why are you in one of the sequels to Jaws? Like, how did someone of your stature and your ability get into the sequel of Jaws? It's terrible. And he said, well, I have to be honest, I haven't seen the film, so I don't know if it's any good or bad, but have you seen the house that I got from making the movie? It's really nice, right? So I remember that often when I interview actors, is they're getting paid, it's not all on them, there's gonna be a next movie around the corner, and you stand out more by being the guy who comes in and says, this wasn't really for me, I didn't care for this part of it, I enjoyed this aspect. If you can do that and be honest and true to yourself, it means more when you do tell them that you like their movie. I've formed a nice working relationship with Shia LeBeouf over the years, and I'll speak candidly to him about his movies, and I'll say, dude, this didn't work, or I think you needed to do this more, and he'll appreciate it because for every time I've told him something that hasn't worked or whatever, there's a time when I say, hey, I'm really happy you did a movie like Guide to Recognizing Your Saints, and you pushed yourself and did something different with Chaz Palminteri, by the way, tying it full circle. But I don't know, like certain people, he's a kid who wears his heart on his sleeve, and you can talk to him candidly, and he respects it more if you tell him the truth than if you just say, great job, Transformers 2, awesome, bro. You know, like nobody needs that. So I don't know. I mean, Chaz is in a different position than I am, in a different part of this business than I am, but for someone like me who's reviewed films over the years, I have to be honest and I have to be candid. But there's a difference in somebody's work and making it personal. And you can talk about the work and you can talk about, you know, the film or the choices that were made or whatever, but when it gets nasty and personal and lowest common denominator, then that's, nobody needs that. It's just that's where it becomes snarky, and I don't know, you see that a lot of times with actors have to deal with their public persona and their professional persona, and sometimes, you know, people are sick of seeing somebody in the tabloid magazines, so they don't respect the work they do. And you saw it with Tom Cruise when he was kind of at the height of all that crazy stuff happening, and the jumping on the couch and Matt Lauer and the whole thing. People were turned off to him at the movies and were quick to knock his work and not like a film. And I remember when Mission Impossible 3 came out, it got, I think, like pretty bad reviews, and didn't do so well at the box office. People were just a little Tom Cruise overload. If you go back and watch those first 3 Mission Impossibles, it's probably the best one out of them. And Philip Seymour Hoffman's terrific in it, and JJ does, it's JJ's first movie that he directed. And not to say that that's like a great film, but that was just an interesting time in pop culture and celebrity, and that somebody's persona kind of dominated anything they did on screen. And you saw Cruise kind of take a step back. He went and did Lions for Lambs with Robert Redford, and his scenes in it are only with Meryl Streep, and it's a supporting role in a smaller movie. And he did, you know, Valkyrie, which was an interesting take on a story with some traditionally, you know, talented and accomplished British actors, if you will. He surrounded himself with good people, seems to be a theme of our interview, and kind of got back on track.